Welcome back to the Chit Chat. Welcome back to the show, Brilliant Baddies. I'm so excited to have you here. And I just want to start the show off with some gratitude because I've told you guys this before, but I plug in the analytics from the show every single week into AI, which is what I love to use AI for data. Like it's like so smart. You should be doing that if you're not doing it. And this podcast is growing so fast. And I never saw it coming. Like I think podcasting is one of those things where it's a slow burn until it's not. And so all of that to say, that is because of you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for, just, I don't know, you light up my life. So I really appreciate it. And if you feel called, again, I don't want to make you do this. I don't want to even ask you to do this, but if you feel called to leave a 5-star review on whatever platform that you're listening on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, that would make me even more happy. But again, only if you feel called to do that. So today's episode, I'm excited because if you have ever created a post, if you've ever created a piece of content and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really proud of this. Like, this is a good one. You thought that post was really good. You thought it was going to perform well. You feel like this is going to really call in the person that I want to call in to my audience. And I feel like this is going to get some visibility. And then all of a sudden you post it, it's 24 hours later, you've refreshed your feed a million times and it just didn't land. It's like, what the heck? Like, what did I miss here? Like nobody commented, nobody shared it, nobody liked it. And it doesn't have as many views as I thought it would. Like if that has happened to you before and it got 1/4, a fraction of the reach of the visibility that you expected. And your first instinct was, maybe I need to, I don't know, what would your first instinct be? Like, maybe I need to post again. Like maybe I need to post more, like twice a day. Maybe I need to be a little bit more serious, or maybe I need to, this is one that I think a lot of people think about, is maybe I need to like hire a professional editor so that my editing is a little bit more entertaining. Or maybe you thought to yourself, like, the algorithm hates me. That's another one I hear a lot. I think this is like less common, but I also have women tell me that they think that they're shadow banned or something like that. Okay. If that has ever been the case for you, where you're like, why is my content not killing it? I'm going to go through a very different possibility than everything that goes through your mind when you create a post and it doesn't do as well as you want it to. And I think that this thought might change how you create content from this point forward, but not in a way where it's like you have to start from zero. It's a very simple shift that you can make in seven different ways. So you're going to have a lot of different opportunity here from this episode alone. What if the problem was not what you're saying, but how you're saying it? What if the problem was not the algorithm? What if the problem was quite literally that your content wasn't triggering, and not in a negative way, but wasn't triggering the one thing that would make a scroller stop in their scroll, stop in their tracks, and capture attention, and not just any type of attention, but curious attention? That's what we want to get. What if that was the problem, that you just didn't know how to turn on the levers or whatever, the little switches that would capture curious attention? So today, I want to talk about, first and foremost, what curious attention actually is. And so like if you were to come into my world and you were to work with me, the first thing, usually, it depends on where people are in their journey, but usually what we're going to create first is a skill set where you can capture curious attention from your audience. Okay. So I want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about why most content creators are going after a type of attention that is totally different than curious attention. And then I'm going to give you 7 very specific ways that you can start doing different things in your content to make people care about your content. You want to make people care about your content. And then stay with me, because at the end of this episode, you're going to look at every single post that you create very differently, like very differently. That is my goal for you. Okay. So the mistake that I see female founders using social media as their means of marketing, the mistake that I see them make over and over again, even though these women are very smart, they're very talented, They've already built businesses using social media, but they want to scale, they want to grow. She is, first of all, she's looking at her analytics. Okay. She's looking at her insights, which isn't wrong, but she is seeing that her engagement is low and her views are down and her ideal client or ideal audience is not responding to her content in the way that she hoped. And so then she's asking herself, because all of that is happening, she asks herself, what can I say in my next post that will make people care? What can I say? And that's the wrong question. And it's normal because we all have that question at one time or another, but I'm going to tell you why that's the wrong question. It's not wrong because you're bad at content. Like, you are not bad at content. Most of the women that I work with are actually really good at content. We just need to shift a couple of different things. It's the wrong question because of the frame that it puts your energy in, that it puts you in when you create the post. So when you ask, what can I say to make people pay attention to me and to care about my content? You're treating caring like something that you have control over, something that you can manufacture and build and engineer. Like, if you just found the right puzzle or the right combination of words, or hooks is another one, or trending, like certain trends or trending sounds or certain B-roll, like if you just found the right tactical strategy, then you could force someone's attention onto your content. That's what that question is trying to do. What's actually happening, though, on the other side of the screen, when someone's scrolling their feed, they're not thinking about you at all. Like, at all. They're not thinking, even if they love your content before or they're obsessed with you, they're not thinking about you. She's scrolling because she's bored. She's sitting on the couch. She is on a break from work, or she's at a red light, or she's whatever. She's drinking her coffee. She's procrastinating on something. She's looking at something on her phone and she's not really paying attention to you. She's just kind of like living life, okay? And she's not really opening her phone looking for a reason to give you her attention. I think we need to understand that. And it's not a personal thing. It's just, I mean, imagine yourself scrolling. You're not opening like thinking about people. You're just scrolling. So we have to give people, the right people, a reason to stop their scroll and listen to us, and not just like for entertainment purposes, but to really hear what we have to say. That's the goal for all of us, by the way. I keep looking at my microphone. If you're watching the video version of this, which I've also been loving the video, but I keep looking at my microphone because I'm worried that it's not capturing my audio like what happened in the last episode. Either way, I think we're good. Let's just pray and hope that it is working. Where was I? Okay, so when you ask that question, what can I say in my content? You're asking the wrong question. So when we shift the question to, instead of not what can I say to make people care, but instead the question is, what do people care about? Again, very simple, almost like Inception. It's like a totally different question, but it's not that different. It does put your mindset in a different place. Okay. Even better, if you were to take that question to the next level, you could ask yourself, what am I caring about today as it relates to my niche, to my skill set that I've mastered, to my mastery, to my craft? What am I caring about today? I ask myself that question all the time, and that's usually where I create content from. I would say it's pretty rare that I create content from what does my audience care about. Sometimes I do, sometimes I will. Like, if you listen to the last episode on the behind the scenes of my using TikTok as top of funnel, then everything that I created after that viral post was in answering the question, what does my audience want today? So sometimes I use that question, but majority of the time I am answering the question, like, what do I care about today as it relates to my craft? So that question is typically the one, quote unquote. When you post something when you create a post from something that you genuinely care about, something that you're obsessed with, something that you've been thinking about, sitting with, debunking, turning over in your mind over and over again, you automatically start touching the things that your audience cares about too. Automatically. And you do this without even trying, because you and your audience, you actually share a world together, whether you knew that or not. And your curiosity and their curiosity overlap more than you think it does. This is why a lot of successful women will talk about their success came from being obsessed with what they were doing and came from their own, like they had to become someone that they currently were not when they first started building the business. So they became obsessed, and that's how they changed who they were. And that's why the people who hired them loved them, not because they said the right thing to those people, but because they witnessed this contagious curiosity. So before we get into the how, and we are going to get into the how, one distinction that I don't hear anyone talking about, like truly, is I don't hear anyone talking about the distinction or the difference between content and marketing. They are not the same thing, like whatsoever. They're totally different. Marketing is the strategy of getting your content in front of the right people. Okay. Marketing to me is like substitute the word for messaging. Okay. Marketing is about distribution. It's about making sure the right person can find you. Whereas content, what you actually say once you're there is something it's different. The content's job itself is not to get attention. The content's job is to capture curious attention. So those two things are not the same. Distribution versus curious attention, not the same, but we want them both. Okay, so this is not like marketing war versus content war. We need them both. Okay, so regular attention, which I would say when I first started my content journey, I was getting a lot of regular attention. Like I was very good at creating content that all of my content would get 20, 30. I had a couple of million view posts on Instagram, which is hard to do. But I was really good at getting regular attention. You could get regular attention all day. I mean, truly, I could tell you how to do that. But what I will tell you is getting regular attention does not build your brand. It doesn't do much for you other than stroke your ego. Okay. Regular attention is demanded. It's forced on you. So let's just take this out of the context of social media. Let's say you're like walking into where am I at in my mind? You're walking into the parking lot and all of a sudden your car alarm goes off. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's my car. And so the car alarm is attention. It's getting your attention. When there's let's do another example, like outside of social media. Let's say you are, okay, when you go to a like clothing site, like lately I've been obsessed with Dressed in Lala. I don't know if you guys know that brand, but I love that brand. And let's just say you're going to a clothing site and all of a sudden the pop-up thing happens on the website where it's like, enter your email address and get 10% off. That is attention. One more. Okay, when this is hilarious. You are like walking in the hallway and you're upstairs, in the upstairs of your home. And your sister is around the corner. Your sister came to hang out with you for the day. And you don't realize she's around the corner and she jumps out and scares you. And she thinks it's hilarious. That is attention. You didn't choose that attention. It chose you. And the moment that it stops demanding your attention, you just go back to what you were doing. Like that's all of those things are the same. Like you go back to what you were doing. It's just like, whatever, that had my attention for a second. Whereas curious attention on social media that you're going to learn how to generate, if I have anything to say about it, is very different. Curious attention is pulled out of you. So it's not demanded. It's not forced on you. It's not pushed onto you. It's something in the content reaches into something that was already inside of you, something you were already thinking about, something you were already feeling, wanting, wondering, and it creates this magnetic pull. So you weren't looking for it, but now you have found it and you can't, it lingers in your mind. You can't look away. That is the type of attention that we want to get you on social media. By the way, I teach you all of that inside of the Evolution content membership. It's a brilliant place for you to be to learn the foundations of all of these things. Okay, moving on. The difference between regular attention and curious attention is very important because you can interrupt people with regular attention. Like I said, it's easy to do. We can do that. You can be a little more polarizing. You can, I don't know, like all these different, like you can do different things where you capture, like there's a, what's her name? Adley. She runs Viralish. She's like really big in helping people go viral. And I actually really respect her. I like her a lot. I heard her speak at one event that I was at. But again, it's like she helps people go viral for capturing regular attention. Like she says like, you know, you want to get their attention in the first few seconds doing something absolutely asinine, like something crazy. Like one time I think she was like putting a slack of ribs on the engine of a car. Like, so she had the hood up. And so that was the intro of her video and it captured that regular attention. And then I think I don't know if she talks about this or not, but I would assume that she then goes into like, from there, you capture curious attention. I have no idea. Actually, I'm making that up. But I also don't know if she's helping like business people. I think she's just helping people get attention on social media. So that's totally different play. We're not doing that because that is not our niche. Like that is not our mission. So it doesn't make it wrong. It's just like, again, I'm giving you an example of things that you could do to get more regular attention. Also, I would say running paid ads is a way to get regular attention where you're forcing that on people. And again, there's nothing wrong with paid ads, but I will say I know enough. I ran in 2023. I spent thousands of dollars on running paid ads before I even had a program, which is crazy. It's like the biggest mistake that I ever made in my life. No, that's not even true. That's not the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. Oh my gosh. But it was a big mistake. And looking back now, I've learned so much since then. I would never do that again. But all of that to say, I'm not shaming paid ads. I like don't think that's a wrong thing, but I am saying if you ever want to run paid ads, when you have mastered organic content, your paid ads will be 100 million times stronger. But in the sake of what I was already talking about, and of course I'm getting off topic like I usually do, running paid ads gets people's attention. It demands eyeballs. You cannot demand curiosity. You can't. You cannot demand the feeling in your audience of, I need to hear the rest of this. But you can create conditions for that to happen. So the thing that most female founders creating content get backwards, they spend all of their energy trying to interrupt people because they want, like, you can't tell me any different. Like, they want visibility on social media. A lot of them don't have it because of this, but they want it because they understand they're here to make a difference. They're here to make an impact. They feel like they're brilliant at what they do. So if they just had visibility, it would make everything better. And they're making good money. I'm not saying that visibility is the thing that's going to make you rich, but I am saying it's going to make you richer. 100%. And I also am saying, like, you're too good to be hidden. So when they know that, when they understand that and they admit that to themselves, like, yes, I want visibility, they spend so much energy trying to interrupt people. Like, post more, use trends and trending audio, hook them in the first 3 seconds, get louder, more obnoxious. And there's no amount of interrupting that creates a person who genuinely cares about what you have to say. You don't interrupt your way into trust. Ooh, that's good. You don't interrupt your way into trust. You earn trust by becoming relevant. Now, don't take that. I'm going to go deep into what I mean by relevant. Don't take that out of turn, okay? Curious attention is the moment that a scroller, and I'm not talking about any scroller, I'm talking about the scroller that wants to be led by you, and she doesn't even know that yet. But she stops in her scroll, not because you grabbed her, not because you're doing crazy entertainment, but because something in your content spoke to something that she was already carrying within her. And that's what we are building toward today, okay? Now, what was I going to say? I just forgot my total train of thought. Yeah, that's not going to come back to me. I have no idea what I was going to say. So, moving forward, goodness, I want you to imagine something with me real quick. Okay, you're at a dinner party. There are, let's see, 50 people at this dinner party. It's a big one, big dinner party, okay? You are in the hills of California, and it's like this really nice dinner party. There's half the people are outside, half the people are inside, but all the doors are open. It's just like super nice. Okay. I'm immediately picturing Selling Sunset, which I love that show. That's what I'm picturing. There are 10 conversations happening around you, so many different conversations, and you are not trying to track all of them. You are overwhelmed enough with the one conversation that you're already in. You're overwhelmed enough because the room is very loud. Everyone is talking, and you might have a glass of champagne in your hand, so you're a little tipsy, and you're half listening, half present, okay? And then something happens. Across the way, someone says something and your head turns immediately. And you weren't trying to listen to that conversation. Like it wasn't something that you were trying to do. You had no intention of joining this conversation, but something in what they said made you turn. It like captured your ears. What was it? What was it? Is the question. It wasn't that they said it, like it wasn't that they yelled it, by the way. This was like it's like, when you're in these situations and like there's so many conversations happening and all of a sudden you hear something and you're like, how did I hear that? Like it wasn't louder than everything else. They didn't tap you on the shoulder to try to tell you this thing. They didn't it wasn't like an announcement, like everyone pay attention to me, I'm going to say this. It was something in the words that reached into the thing that you were already holding inside of yourself. So it was this feeling that you had when you heard it, maybe this feeling that you were experiencing that they articulated. Or maybe it was a question that you had already been contemplating. Maybe it was a possibility that you had been already turning over in your mind, and whatever it was, it just pulled you in. That is curious attention. Like the moment that someone doesn't demand your focus, they earned it. Ooh, I just remembered what I was going to say. I was going to say, I have had so many people reach out to me lately, which is an amazing thing. I'm very grateful for it. But I've had a lot of what are they called? Yeah, managers of, like the people who help you with brand deals, et cetera. And they help you push your content. Like I've had really big names, which is amazing. It makes me feel I'm honored. I've also had a lot of people reach out to me who want to help me with video creation. And these aren't just like, we all get the spam ones. These are people who have worked with really well-known people and they are seeing my content and they want to be a part of it because they like the mission. Now, both of those people, I can't say this enough. I'm very grateful that they see something in me, but I've had conversations with them. Like I've gotten on a call and I've talked to them and a couple of these editors, I've had conversations going back and forth with them. And what they want to do is they want to make my content very professional. Like they want it to, and this is interesting because part of me is like, maybe it's time that I do that. But if you've been following along for a little bit, I used to have very edited chit chat videos. Like it used to be, like the lighting was really cool. The edits were really cool. There was cool font, but I got away from that on purpose. Like I'm trying to create a point that people like me who have very successful businesses and are here to make a mark on the world, we don't need overly polished content. Like we can be very successful with a homemade video. Like, and I don't really want to pull myself out of that right now, at least. I'm not saying never say never, but this is the thing is like the whole point of this episode is teaching you how to get curious attention. And I'm telling you right now, it doesn't come from just the visual. This is messaging and this is energy and this is knowing how to get people to care. So it's psychology as well. So I wanted to add that in here because getting regular attention could come from having really polished edits. We don't want regular attention. We want curious attention. So think about your scroll feed, okay? There are millions of conversations, millions of people talking to their camera these days, yapping away, okay? And posting it in their content. Your potential ideal target audience member who will eventually become a client of yours, she's walking through the content scroll the same way you were walking through the dinner party, not looking for a reason to join everyone's conversation and listen to what they're saying, just moving through the noise, basically. She's not thinking about you as she's scrolling. She has her own worries, her own ambitions, her own half-formed questions that she hasn't asked yet because she doesn't even realize they're a question yet. She has those things. So what is it going to take for you to turn her head? And here's what I know for 100% certainty. It won't be you announcing that your content is important or that your offer is important or that you are an expert at what you do. You don't announce those things. It's not going to be a fancy hook that is very clever and captures someone's attention because it worked for Sally Sue over there. It is going to be something in what you say that reaches into something she's already feeling and creates that magnetic pull without even trying. So the question becomes, what makes someone turn their head at the dinner party, which is the same thing as what makes someone stop in their scroll. I've studied this for a very long time, and I've failed more than I have won, which is a good thing. Because the more that you fail, the more that you can understand what it takes to succeed. And now, for this whole year, I would say 2026, I've figured it out. Okay. And I'm, subject to change again, always going to be improving, always going to get better at this. But I have identified 7 different things by studying this for a very long time, and not just studying my own content. I work with clients of all capacities. And I lately am so excited. Like, I'm working with some women who are very well known, and they are, a lot of them, moving from being just well known, and now they want to be well respected for being a female founder. Okay, so all of that to say, I study them as well. So 7 specific ways that your content could create this curious attention that would make a scroller stop, and not because you have waved your hands up and said, "Ooh, me, pay attention to me," and you've interrupted her, but because you became relevant to her. So the key, before I give you all 7 of these things, is, again, from everything I just said, understand that scrollers are selfish, as they should be. You are a scroller, and you are selfish in your time and what you scroll and consume. They're moving through content so fast, and they're asking one overall question, consciously or not. And the question is, what is this giving me? What does this have to do with me? What's in it for me? People care about things as it relates to them. So your content only matters when it can answer that question for her. So every one of these 7 ways is a different way to answer, why should you care about this? And you're not going to sit there and tell people you should care about this, because we're not doing that. So number 1, creating recognition. And if you need to get your notebook out, get your notebook out. This is going to be very much tactical, take from this and take action. Don't just let this be an episode that you listen to and you are like, oh, that's interesting. Take action. Try these things out. Number 1 is recognition, which recognition, I'm going to tell you in the viewer's mind for all 7 of these, what she would be feeling when you create recognition. So she would be feeling and thinking to herself, that's me. That is so me. And the way that you do this is you articulate something that she's experiencing. You put it into words. You are something that she is currently living every single day. She's living inside of this experience, but they've never been able to put it into words themselves. So the moment that she hears you say this, she's going to feel seen. This is one of my most common comments, I would say, and DMs is I feel like you're speaking to me. Every single day, there's at least one comment that says that, at least one, multiple times usually per day. Why does it feel like every time you post a piece of content, you're speaking to me? And I'm not sitting there thinking, how do I speak just to her? Okay. Feeling seen by someone on the internet, online, that's one of the fastest ways to earn their curious attention. Now, let me be clear. Giving recognition and making her feel like, oh my gosh, that's me, that's not being relatable in a generic way. I've said this in a different training, in a different episode. You don't have to try to be relatable. You are relatable to the right people. So you don't have to try to do that. But recognition is very specific. It's like that feeling when you've been doing something consistently, whatever your niche is. Again, like she's been doing this thing consistently. You name what that thing is, and yet she still feels blank, not stuck. That's not the right word. Describe what stuck would show up as in her life. So anytime that you're using words like stuck, struggling, I hate the word struggling. Don't use that word, but ask yourself, like, what does that mean? Like, what does that look like? What does stuck look like? And then you put that into your content. That is recognition. So again, if you want to say she feels guilty, if you want to say she feels like less confident, I would say those words are a little too vague. She's not sitting there saying like, I feel less confident. You want to describe what less confident shows up as in her life. The more specific that you can describe it, the more powerful the recognition becomes. So when someone feels like you just described exactly what their inner experience feels like, or what it is, like, they don't just like your content. They save it, they send it to somebody, they come back to your page, or they immediately slide into your DMs or sign up for whatever's in your link in bio. Immediately. All right, number 2. You want to create desire. Desire, desire, desire. When you create desire in your content or you show desire, they're going to think to themselves, I want that. And sometimes desire can be interesting because sometimes desire can just be you existing. Like my ideal client, my ideal target audience wants visibility in her content. So the fact that I have visibility every single time that I post, she's feeling from my content, I want the visibility that she has. Or I get this a lot. I just got this today, actually. I want to be able to articulate, I want to be able to talk in my content the way that you do. So sometimes it's not even like you're consciously thinking you're creating desire. It's just you embodying. You have to show up though, in order for that to take place. So you're showing your audience a possibility. And this is something that they could have, something that they could become, something that they could experience. And it becomes relevant to them because it's touching on something that they already want. So the post is no longer about you. It's about this version of her as she's scrolling that she can see in the desire. And this is, don't get it twisted. Oh my gosh, I have to say this. This is not about selling your offer. This is about painting a picture. You guys, your offers are going to sell the better that you get at creating content. Not being a content creator, but creating content. Okay. So with this one, you are painting a picture of this outcome that already is like they're yearning for it. It lives in their imagination. You're not introducing a brand new want and desire. You are connecting to the one that they already have and you're making it juicy AF. You don't actually create desire for them like out of thin air. You find where their desire is and you speak directly to it. Boom. All right, number 3, tension. I'm going to go slowly with this one because this can be misunderstood. The third way is tension. The third way to get people to care about your content. And the tension would cause this feeling or this thought in the scroller, like she would ask herself, like, wait, is that true? You challenging an assumption that they currently hold is going to create tension. So when you challenge an assumption that they already hold, now their brain has this very tiny unresolved problem that they cannot let go of. Something that you also need to understand about human psychology, which I often study, is people in general become obsessed with tiny unresolved problems. When I say tiny, basically substitute the word tiny for specific. So an open loop in the brain, when you have this tiny problem, it demands to be closed. When your content can create that loop, when it makes someone as they're scrolling, pause and question something that they thought that they knew, you have now earned their full curious attention. It's magical. It really is. But the reason I said I'm going slow on this and that it's often misunderstood is I'm talking about being provocative. That's a powerful tool, being provocative. It's a positive thing. But I am going to take my time describing the difference between provocative and controversial. They're not the same thing. I said controversial first because I think that's like the way I want to say it. But I think I don't know, controversial. You guys let me know. Either way, when you are creating controversial content, you are basically asking people to pick a side. And it's right or wrong. And it's designed to divide. And it creates tension around identity and values in a way that alienates half of the people watching your content. I'm going to tell you this right now. The goal is not to be controversial. You get to be provocative and a contrarian. You get to have opinions, but being controversial is not the goal. Provocative content, on the other hand, is going to make people think. So you're not forcing them to pick a side. It's just challenging an assumption without asking anybody to fight about it. Let me just say this, the reason that you don't want to create controversial content is when you make it big time, like when you are, maybe you already are, like as a big deal, if you want to associate with the other people that are a big deal, they're not going to associate with someone who is controversial. I'm telling you right now, they're going to protect their reputation and their brand at all costs. And if you touch controversion, that's not a word, I don't think, but you know what I'm saying? They don't want anything to do with you. I also think being controversial calls in a totally different client. I'm going to tell you, I actually know this to be true. You are going to call in clients that are also very into controversy. And that is yucky. No. Okay. Provocative content, though, says something like, what if the thing that you believe about this is actually backwards? Like, what if you've been told wrong? And the viewer doesn't feel attacked. Like the person doesn't feel attacked. They feel intrigued. So like I said, you're allowed to have opinions. You're allowed to, like have different thoughts and go against certain things in a provocative manner. Polarizing people is not a strategy. Speaking a perspective that quite literally genuinely challenges a belief and then being able to back it up, that's a strategy. So learn the difference and stay on the right side of that. You are a professional, okay? I'm not telling you to be like a nice girl. Actually, I am telling you to be a nice girl. Nothing wrong with being a nice girl. Be a nice girl. You don't need to like be mean to get attention. That's so unnecessary. So I'm not going to just keep going on this point, even though I could. I'm very passionate about this because I feel like we get sold as female founders that in order to get attention, we have to be spicy and feisty. And again, it's okay to be spicy and feisty, but just protect the professionalism of this. And not even just professionalism, be ethical. Like have core values and morals. Now, number 4, curiosity. The fourth way of making people care is through curiosity and the internal response that they're going to feel as they consume this post where you're creating curiosity is, I need to know. So you're basically just introducing a gap in what they currently know and what they want to know. Very simple. And then you offer to close that gap. So the promise of the explanation is what's creating the pull. It's important, though, that you understand that curiosity itself, like if I were to just expose the gap, that's not enough. If they don't care about the answer, they don't care about the post. So the curiosity gap around a specific topic that they don't care about is a waste of your time. The curiosity has to be attached to something that they already understand. Okay. And the question that you're going to ask is not, you can't leave it at, does this conversation create a gap? The question is this a gap that my target audience is desperate to close? Start there. Okay. Number 5, emotion. Creating emotion, evoking emotion is what I love to say. This is like huge, actually. This would make someone feel something. Like they would literally consume your content and they'd be like, I feel something. And that doesn't always have to be like, I feel the same thing. It could just be, I feel something. So when we talk about evoking emotion, again, misconceptions everywhere about these things. Emotion is not the same thing as negativity. So if you sit back and you think to yourself, I want to evoke emotion to my audience, it's not the same thing as negativity. And it's not the same thing as like, okay, I need to be vulnerable and talk about my struggles. There's nothing wrong with that. So long as you're not asking the audience to hold you through your struggle, you should absolutely talk about how you've overcome adversity and challenges and obstacles. But when we talk about avoiding, like evoking emotion doesn't need to be negative. You don't need to make people feel bad or ashamed to get them to pay attention to you. The range of emotions that would stop her in her scroll is enormous. There's so many different emotions. She could feel relief, excitement, hope, understood. She could feel a spark of motivation, inspiration. She could even feel anger, not towards you, but productive anger. That would be like, yes, this is the thing I've been thinking about for years. Any of those would be enough. So the point is not to like try to build or create the feeling for them. The point is just to say something so real and raw that the feeling is unavoidable. So content that triggers no emotional response is going to get ignored 100%. Not because it's wrong, but because it's neutral and it's a little numb and boring. Neutral content doesn't appease anyone or appeal, not appease, goodness. So genuine content that would come from something that you actually care about, something that makes you feel something, that's how you create emotion by default. So you don't even have to think to yourself, I want to create emotion. It's like, what makes you emotional? All right. Number 6, identity. This is, they're going to consume this post and they're going to think to themselves, this is who I am. Like, that's exactly who I am. I have seen so much content like that in like when I'm scrolling, like that's some of my favorite content is like, oh my gosh, that's me. Usually it's like about Libras or something like that. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly who I am. Okay. This one is very powerful for personal brands. So when someone sees your post and they think, this is how I think, that post is no longer just information to them. It becomes this reinforcement of identity for them. It confirms something about who they are or who they're becoming or who they believe themselves to be. So if you think about the content that you share with other people, or even like articles, Substack articles could be, or like videos, posts that you repost, think about those. I'm like queen of reposts, or I don't even think it's called reposts, requoting on Threads, because there's some funny people on Threads, man. There's some really good reposts on Threads, like not reposts, sorry, posts that I like to requote. So when I think about those things though, like what do I requote? Almost all of it says something about me if I'm going to requote it. I'm requoting it because it reflects my values, my worldview, my sense of self. And so when you create content with identity in mind, and you would have to speak to a very specific person in order to create this, but you are speaking to a world view rather than just the problem itself. And so your audience isn't just watching you, they're attached to it. It's crazy. And then again, they would take it from there and carry it into their networks. Maybe they repost it, but sharing the post is their way of saying, this is me. You understand that? Like that's like when social media gurus recommend to create shareable content, this is what they're referring to. They just don't teach you the how. But the how is basically like, you want your ideal target audience to be able to share something and say, this is me. That is organic reach. No algorithm could help you with that. That is organic reach that, again, it's a beautiful thing. The 7th and final way to get people to care about your content is creating meaning. So the internal response to creating meaning is they think to themselves, like, this is very important. This matters a lot. People care deeply about things that they feel very connected to. And not just like, I'm interested in this, but they're connected to it in a way like it's a topic for them that carries weight. So paying attention to it matters to them, and understanding this is going to like change. It's going to create a different quality of attention. This one's a little bit different. It's a little bit tough to unpack, but basically this is like creating meaning would be, again, social media gurus will often tell you like you need an enemy in your brand. Like you need to create an enemy. And I speak to this as well, but slightly differently. I don't want you to think that you need to have an enemy that is a person. The enemy is a problem. So let's just say I am a person that believes going to college is a waste of time. When I create content about going to college being a waste of time, this is a made up example. I actually don't believe that. I loved college, taught me a lot, made me who I am. But if that were my stance, the people who say like that matters, this is important, going to college is a waste of time, they're going to fight that enemy with you. They're going to fight that battle with you. Having meaning is a very deep layer. And I also would say it's the hardest to create and engineer, whatever you want to call it. But it also is very powerful when it's real. Like you can't just pretend, like you can't just try to pull this out of thin air. When you genuinely believe that what you are teaching in your content, what you stand for matters, that belief comes through in how you say it. So if you think it matters, if you think it's important, your audience is going to feel that from you. And they're going to they're going to feel the same way if it aligns with them, which is what you want. You don't want to make people have meaning. You want them to be like, oh yeah, I believe that matters as well. And so you can post from that place when you're creating meaning. Okay. Whew, that was a lot. At the end of all of this, the question that we just answered is, how do you make people care about your content? And the answer is you don't. Like you don't make people do anything. And you don't want to. I don't want someone in my audience that I have to make think a certain way or feel a certain way or be a certain way. You don't make people care. You find out what they already care about, which is usually what you already care about, and you connect your ideas to that. You create relevance for the audience, not for yourself. So before you post anything after listening to this episode, ask yourself the question, why should she care about this? With every single post. When I ask my clients this all the time, like when they send in a specific post and they're like, help me understand why this didn't perform. My first question is, why would your audience care about this? Tell me in one sentence, make it simple. Why would they care about this? And it's not, it's not, why do you think this is good content? No one cares. It's not, why does this reflect your brand and your offers and your mission and your launch plan? It's, why does this matter to your ideal target audience today in the life that she's actually living? When that question gets answered, and you can be clear, you can be specific, and it's in one sentence, your content is going to pop off. You will have the chance to grasp her curious attention. And if you can't do that, you need to go back and you need to redo the post. And I can guarantee you, if you went back and you audited all of your content and asked yourself that question, you would get ideas from the things that you've already posted about how to make them better. The job is not to force attention on people. The job is to create relevance. And the relevance is built from those 7 things I just walked you through: recognition, desire, attention, curiosity, emotion, identity, meaning. Curious attention, when you have that, after everything I just taught you, will then build your visibility, authoritative visibility. And visibility visibility is what you want, because then that's when the work starts. That's when the work begins. When you have the authoritative visibility, when people trust you, then it creates opportunity. So we're not going to go deeper into that right now, but what I want you to do is I want you to pick one of the 7 and then ask yourself, how does this thing I'm about to post today give my audience one of those 7 things? And then you just post it and you have fun with it and you get better and better and better and you evolve over time. And I'm going to stop talking now because it's been a very long time that I've been talking. I love you guys so, so much. If you haven't registered for the upcoming masterclass yet, make sure that you do that. I will drop the link in the show notes below. It's going to be a banger. We're going to have a great time. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you next week.